What is going on, Who-Dats? Welcome inside Black and Gold. Steve Geller and Jeff Nowak coming to you the day after a wonderful, thrilling 17-17 tie. Saints and Jags end up in a tie. And, you know, I'd say that tongue-in-cheek, but honestly, the end of the game was fun.
I mean, as far as ties go, like, how mad can you be, right? Like, it should have been a last-second field goal to win the game, but whatever. The refs wanted to get out of there. They had reservations, somewhere. Like, it was so clear that he was down with 1 second left. Like, it couldn't be more clear. Like, I don't. They just didn't want to look at it. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. But yeah, no, I mean, all you can ask out of the second half of a preseason game is to be mildly entertaining. Like, you're not drawing that much out. Like, you're looking at the backups to the backups a lot of the time. And so, like, it was
better than the start.
Like, and it's funny because, like, I have to watch it. I'm sure a lot of people turned it off, and they found out about it in the aftermath of, like, wait, how did it end? You know?
I'm doing the post-game show, and my wife texts me. She's like, oh my gosh, I just saw on Facebook that it was a 17 tie. I went to sleep.
Yeah, like, I would guess I went to sleep. It was like 3 p.m.
She was dosed out, needed a nap.
Yeah, a nap was more entertaining than the second half of a preseason game, right? But, like, so that's funny. Like, probably 50% of the fan base who started watching the game didn't end up watching the part that was actually worth watching. But no, I mean, it was fun on the field. Like, it was fun to watch play out. It's a bummer that Charlie didn't get a chance to kick a game winner. Sorry, but I do want to mention before we get into it, this is in honor of Jaylan Ford's first interception. We got the Jaylan Ford card. I wasn't sure when I bought this if I would actually keep it. But you know, it seems like he's gonna make the team. So hey, we got some Jaylan Ford pride going on in the background.
That's a dude you're happy to see do well, just because when you look at him, it's like, damn, that guy looks good in a uniform.
Yeah, and I thought I thought he was developing well last year in training camp. Then he's dealt with injuries, right? So, you know, it's anytime you see a guy who, you know, has to deal with those injuries earlier in his career and kind of picks it up in year two, it's like, oh, cool. Like, you know, Mason Tipton's the same way. But we'll end up talking a lot about these guys. So this episode,
Tipton.
Big game. Big play Tipton. We still haven't seen him in an actual big game or a real game do anything of note, but it's good to see him delivering in an actual timed scored game.
Consecutive weeks, he did something notable.
Right? Like, you can't say it's like he saves it for when it counts, because it doesn't actually count. But this is closer to counting than last year, which, you know, it's funny. I was thinking about it. Like, the fans must have thought, like, us in Irvine were just full of it last year, because we did nothing but talk about Mason Tipton. Didn't appear at a preseason game. Didn't have anything in the regular season, and they were just like, these guys are just lying to us. Like, what's happening? But no. So this is going to be our standard post game episode. We're going to do the first segment, like we did last week, is just going to be all on the quarterbacks, because it's just, there's so much to talk about. It just makes sense to have it be its own segment. We're going to have clips from Bobby Hebert, clips from Deuce McAllister. We're going to hear from Spencer and Kellen Moore on you know, what he's thinking about with the quarterback competition, when the decision might be made. Still don't know. We'll get into that in the first segment. Second segment will be the duds, the stock down players, more so position groups for me than anything else. But we'll get through that. Final segment for the podcast, for this podcast, will be the stock up segment. Some good things to talk about. I actually thought, you know, despite how things started, I thought there was some real positives in how it ended. So we'll have a bit to talk about there. And then on YouTube, we're going to go into a live mailbag like we've done the last few episodes, really, the live episodes, and kind of tack that on to the end. It'll be a separate episode for the actual podcast. But Steve, just quick thoughts before we hit a quick break here. You know, how are you feeling? Are you feeling better? You feeling worse? Like, where are you right now?
It was definitely at least a ending that was something that was the best part of the game, was the end of the game. Unfortunate, you mentioned with the lack of getting to kick attempt a game-winning field goal. But anytime you see the fight still there at the end, and people not just kind of waiting to run out the clock, going through the motions, and obviously, you know, when you have the QB battle, that was still going well into it. And yeah, good for Spencer Rattler, because man, oh man, how, you know, we talk about the drive stalling in the end zone and not being able to convert on points, and we got some points out of him. You know, hallelujah.
Got a touchdown drive. You got
And
a
the
touchdown drive.
touchdown and the 2-point conversion.
That's why they run all those situational drills in practice, man. Like, that's why you do them, because those are the situations to win games that you need to execute in. And it's funny. We see that all the time. And yeah, so no, it's a good, like, I'm going to talk more about this, but like, you need a moment like that in a quarterback competition to really kind of put your stamp on it. And that's how it felt. So we'll get more into it. But yeah, there's going to be a lot.
Too many people now are just like, they went from it could be Shuck to now it's definitely Rattler. I still think it's right in the middle.
It is funny how it just kind of swings drastically after every game and every drive even. And there's an interception, it's over, and then he's drive for a touchdown. Oh, I'm right back in, you know. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot to talk about. So let's hit a quick break, come back, and we're gonna dive into the quarterback battle. We're gonna listen to sound, we're gonna get into comments, quotes, everything. Who dat? Go Saints. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. Otherwise, we'll be right back.
Valus Jones is behind. Pistol formation. Rattler gets it. Stands. Now he's rolling to his right, looking for time. He can run it. He can run it. And he does! And it looks like if things don't change, we're going to have a tie. Preseason football game. The 2-point conversion is good.
Have you ever felt so good about a tie in preseason?
Show me something, guys.
Yeah, that kind of sums it up there. It's just like, wow, it's high, you know, and then there was no better rule change in the last few years than the NFL deciding preseason football is going to go away. We're going to have ties. But all right, and we're back on Inside Black and Gold. Jeff Nowak, Steve Geller. That was Mike Haas and Deuce McAllister on the call of Spencer Rattler. That's not the touchdown. That was the 2-point conversion, because when the Saints got the ball back with about 2 minutes, 29 seconds left, they were down 8 points. They needed an 82-yard drive, touchdown, and a 2-point conversion to tie that game. And, you know, it honestly was a very similar scenario to where we saw Spencer get in against Washington last year. Jake Hayner started that game, played the first half. Spencer took over to start the second half. I think they were down 17. In this case, they were down 17-3. And the game ended on a 2-point conversion attempt to win the game, not to tie the game. They could have tied the game with a PAT. And, you know, he had Juwan Johnson. It looked like they just couldn't connect, and it was a loss. And so it was cool to see him kind of figure that out. Obviously, you know, they played the original play call well, and he extended with his legs, found the end zone for the 2-pointer. You know, there's a lot to like on that drive. There's a lot to like from Spencer yesterday in general. One of the only real negatives was that interception, which the more you look at it and hear everyone talk about it, you know, I don't think that's going to be viewed as a negative on Spencer's day. You know, it's tough in real time because you just see a quarterback throw the ball and the defensive back step in front of it. But, you know, that interception's really on the receiver. Mason Tipton said that. Kellen Moore kind of said that without saying that because he doesn't want to throw anyone under the bus. But I mean, yeah, like, what are your thoughts on Spencer's day? Because you know, you get in with the second team, you're going against the backups. You have to look good. Like, you can't go in there and look bad. Otherwise, you probably lose the competition on that alone. Like, if you can't go out there and look like a starter against backups for the other team, you're in trouble. But he didn't look like that. He looked very confident, in control. So where are you on it?
My first thing, if I'm Spencer, I want to be like, Coach, so he gets Shaheed and Olave?
Yeah, so I did ask Kellen about that after the game. And so I think the way they approached it was they took the top 4 pass catchers and they said, hey, Tyler's going to get 2 of them and Spencer's going to get 2 of them. So in Spencer's start, it was Brandon Cooks and Juwan Johnson. So you got the top tight end and you got, you know, the veteran wide receiver. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if the original plan was to have Chris go with Spencer. So you got, you know, a wide receiver but but Chris was dealing with the ankle injury. If you recall, he had a kind of a minor ankle tweak late in the week. And so he was inactive for that game. He didn't even warm up for that game. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the original plan, because it would have made more sense to split the top 2 receivers. But either way, like, I think, it was odd to me when I saw it come out, and then he explained it like that was the idea, is you were giving both of them at least like starting caliber pass options, right?
I just look at it obviously as the 1 and 2 guys right there, and you want both quarterbacks to get a taste with that.
Yeah, but they didn't want to play both wide receivers in both games, right?
Great. Now Olave is out of sync still and can't make a catch on a key 3rd down.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's rust involved there, but neither of those guys has played in a long time, right? Shaheed hasn't played since week 7 of last season. Olave hadn't played since week 9 of last season. But yeah, I mean, that's like, when I initially saw it, I was like, wow, this feels like a statement on the quarterback competition. And in reality, I think the idea was, whether it made sense in practice, like the idea was, hey, we're going to get this to be as even as possible. So we're going to give, 2 of the top 4 in this game, 2 of the top 4 in this game. And that allows us to not have to play these guys more than we want to play them, just to keep it even. Right. And so say what you want. Like Tyler didn't have a tight end to throw to, right? He's out there throwing to Trayton Welch. So,
what a catch by Welch.
What a catch by Welch, for sure. But no, so that's just to, I did think it was interesting because enough to ask him about it. And the explanation at least makes some kind of sense, because it did seem strange on its face. But no, there's going to be a lot of talk about Spencer. So let's start with Tyler, because, one of the knocks on him coming out of college was how he kind of deals with pressure. And I did think that, while it's not necessarily all on him when you have a free rusher in your face, like I had someone say he's holding the ball too long. I don't think he was holding the ball too long. I don't think he had time to hold the ball too long on either of those sacks or the intentional grounding, right? Like the first sack, he had someone just right in his face as he came out of a play action fake. Like that's not going to work. Next play, it was a free rusher. They ran the same stunt twice in a row. This was the first team Jags defense. So, there's probably something to be said for the quarterback needs to identify and maybe adjust some protections after the first free rusher. I haven't got a chance to go look back at the final sack, but when you're getting free rushes like that, it's tough to operate.
Yeah, and I was just disappointed for the fact that we didn't have that wow moment for Shuck this game. I know we got, we had the touchdown toss at least in the first game. What's funny is, man, both first team offenses can't get in the end zone.
Yeah, well, no, Jaguars.
We only had 3 points in each game at halftime. To start each.
Oh,
each
you
of
mean
the
the
preseason.
Saints first team offense?
Yeah.
No. Well, I mean, here I think they, you mentioned Olave's drop. Yeah, that was a rough drop, right?
At first, I thought he got hurt.
It was, yeah. I mean, he just kind of lost concentration, but it was a 3rd and 7. It's when you talk about the quarterback competition, it's tough because there's moments where it's like, yeah, that's a drive ending play, but it's not on the quarterback. He made the right read. He made a good throw. It's on your star wide receiver to just catch the dang ball. And hey, it's preseason. Like hopefully you get stuff like that out of the way in the preseason.
Yeah.
And again, Chris
Shuck, I think, was 5 of 6 that drive. Unfortunately, it could have been 6 of 6.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that was his best drive of probably the entire preseason when you kind of boil it down. Because the touchdown throw was a touchdown, but it was a 2-play drive. Like it was one throw. That one he faced the 1st and 20, and he had that nice ball to Trayton Welch, who showed some good trust in Trayton Welch because he wasn't necessarily open. It was like, that guy's bigger than that guy, so I'm going to give him a chance. And he went up and made a play. I talked to Trayton afterward, and he was just like, yeah, I'm grateful that Tyler trusts me enough to throw me that ball, and he made a great play on it. And that's one of those situations where, hey, I'm a tight end fighting to make the roster. There's opportunity here. I just need opportunities to make plays and show them why I should be on the roster. So I don't know, maybe that helps his case. But
that was the definite highlight for Shuck. That was the highlight.
Yeah.
The toss and the obviously the catch made it even better.
There was one actually, that play was nice. I think from a quarterback perspective, his best play actually came on that drive. Yeah, I can't remember if it was 2nd or 3rd down. The Jaguars were bringing a blitz from the front side. Tyler recognized it, knew he was hot, and got the ball to Chris, who was able to kind of spin out and get a first down. I think it was a 12-yard gain, something like that. Like, it's not going to show in the highlights, but to me, that's the best play of that drive for Tyler. Like, anyone can go out there and throw a ball up to a tight end and give him a chance. Like, that's a nice play. You put it on the money. But when you're a young quarterback and you can read a blitz and get the ball out and turn that and actually hurt the defense for sending a blitz, it's the type of play that the next time they think about sending a blitz, they might bluff it, because, it's like the reason you didn't blitz Tom Brady. He's like one of the slowest people in the NFL, but you can't blitz him because he sees it and he hurts you behind it. Like, that's a really high level play for a young player. And it's one that probably flies under the radar just because it's a ho-hum 12-yard gain. But those are the type of plays that get you a 6-10 play drive that ends in a score as opposed to a 3-and-out. So I thought there were some nice plays like that. He did, it's the second consecutive game. You saw him be very conservative. He went 9 of 12, 75% completion percentage, which is nice. But 6 of those completions were 6 yards or fewer. So you kind of have to take that for what it is. He did protect the ball. He was accurate.
Just 5.5 per pass. I want to see that from the run game.
Exactly. So there's some give and take. I didn't think it was a terrible day for him, even though there were the results. I think the offensive line is what really let me down more so than the quarterback.
Man.
Like, my thing was, hey, Spencer Rattler got his moment, his like, hey, I deserve to win this moment. Tyler Shuck got kind of let down by the players around him, whereas, like, I think Spencer was getting picked up a little bit, and Tyler was getting let down. But either way, Spencer delivered. And so let's hear what Deuce had to say on the QB battle after the game.
Yeah, I don't know if you've got the separation that you truly want to see from any of those guys. One of the tougher things that we have to deal with is we don't know the exact play call. We can kind of tell you, hey, this is the why of why this play wasn't successful or why it was successful. But some of the conversation, pre-snap and or even when they're at the line of scrimmage, why the head coach can talk to the guys, we kind of don't know that until we have to kind of wait to after the play to get some of those true answers. But, at this point, I don't know if we've seen enough if we're just going off of games. Obviously, they've got a lot closer grading situation on what they're looking for to be able to say, hey, this is who I want to go with as far as the quarterback as we get ready for the Arizona Cardinals in week 1. And so I don't know if it's this week or next week that they make the final decision to say this is the guy that I'm going with as my starter, but I would assume it wouldn't be much longer.
Yeah, what do you have to say? What do you think about that?
I don't know. To me, like, it felt like Deuce was saying there, he expects it maybe even before Saturday.
Man, I want it to be before Saturday. And I do want to talk about Spencer's day a little bit. But, I think you need to get that quarterback. Like, there's a point in this quarterback competition where it's no longer serving the players positively to split reps, right? Like, if there's not a differentiator by now, I don't think they're going to find one by Saturday. I think you just have to make a decision and own it one way or the other. And what you can say for Spencer is that I kind of view a quarterback competition kind of like the Heisman, in that, stats are important, but a lot of times it's like about that kind of Heisman moment. Like, you go back and you look at like Heisman winners, and it's like there's like one kind of flashbulb play or drive that kind of crystallizes that whole thing, and you say it's like, oh, this is when he won it, right? And whether that's true or not, that's how it feels from the outside. And I think quarterback competitions go the same way, because if you go back to 2021, which is the last time the Saints had a quarterback competition, it was that week 2 game in Jacksonville. And what are the plays you remember? It was those long touchdown passes to Marquez Callaway. One in particular, I think it was like 48 yards, and it was like, okay, Jameis is the starter, right? And like sometimes that's all it is it's like a lot of it is vibes at the end of the day, especially when it's this close. And statistically, it's as close as it can get.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking like the numbers are actually kind of absurdly close. So I'm going to look them up here.
But do you think those vibes are there? I still don't have that either, where I'm like, oh, I feel like so-and-so has the lead. To me, it makes sense to go with Rattler week 1 and then gradually get into Shuck somewhere else in the season at this point. Like Shuck hasn't gone that far and above yet.
Yeah, I think it's close enough that I'm willing to just say, hey, I trust Rattler a little bit more at this point. Right. And this is what, I thought Mason Tipton's answer on this was interesting. And he was asked like what he thought about Spencer on that final drive. And like when you got into the huddle on that final drive, like what were the vibes? This is what he had to say.
I think the moment he got in the huddle, we knew we were going to go down there, score, get the 2 point. I think that should tell you. That's his demeanor in the huddle, and that's what we did. That's when he showed up to the huddle. I kind of thought it was over. So that's what I think.
Yeah, and I mean, like at the end of the day, like we said, it's so close that it's about confidence and it's about kind of leading. And that's not to say like Tyler can't do that, but I do think there's probably a little bit more confidence in Spencer right now. For what it's worth. Like I think he went out there and looked like a confident player. Like say what you want about who he's playing against. He's playing with the backups. He's playing with the backup offensive line. He faced pressure. That touchdown drive was really, really impressive. And the way he used Mason Tipton, who had a really big game, down the field, found Dante Pettis. Like he's throwing to Dante Pettis, right? That 20-yard touchdown pass went to Dante Pettis. And I like Dante Pettis. But he's probably your 6th wide receiver on this roster, and I don't know if you're keeping 6. So, I feel like if you made the decision this week, it's probably going to come down to confidence. It's going to come down to who do you believe gives you the best chance to win week 1, and I think it's probably Spencer. And just to kind of put a note on that, so. Tyler Shuck, 24 of 34, 231 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Rattler, 25 of 35, 252 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That's about as close as it gets.
Yeah.
Spencer,
it's wild that it is that close.
Spencer did lead one.
I guess you could add in Spencer's rushing yards.
You could, yeah. And he did lead one more scoring drive. So of those drives, Tyler has 1 field goal drive, 1 touchdown drive. Spencer didn't lead a scoring drive in the opener. So, maybe you count that against him. But he did lead 2 field goal drives and a touchdown drive. That interception, which again, like this is Mason Tip. When I say like, I don't put that on Spencer, when you go back and look at it, it's pretty easy to see why. This is what Mason had to say when he was asked about that route, which I think he'll be the first to tell you, not a fan.
I don't know what to say. I was really mad. That's a play that I got to make, and I'm mad that I had to. I guess Spencer ended up throwing an interception. That's really my fault. So coming back, making plays. I mean, that's just the kind of player I am, and I'm always going to double down after a mistake. So I think putting that on tape and kind of showing that is it's big for me.
How was that your fault? What should you have done on that play? I'm sorry.
I just got to run through it, man. There's no way the DB's supposed to make that play. So I got to run through that slant so he can't even make that play.
Did you sit or did you get caught up?
I'm going to have to watch it, man. I mean, the bottom line is he beat me to the ball. So that's what can't happen.
Yeah, and to me, it looked like I didn't see the contact. Like, to me, it looked like he was just sitting on a route that he wasn't supposed to sit. And keep in mind, this is an RPO. So, the read is the read. If you read slant, you throw slant, you got to do it fast. You don't have time to kind of wait and see. Like that ball either comes out or you run it. Because if you don't run it, the offensive line is getting downfield and you end up with an ineligible man downfield penalty. So, like, I don't think that interception is going to be held against Spencer at all when it comes down to it. It's going to be held against Mason, who, to his credit, bounced back very well on the following drive.
Yeah, with both quarterbacks, unfortunately, like I mentioned, kind of the fact that we haven't seen the first team unit go out there and get a touchdown.
Yeah,
I'd like to see more cohesiveness with that, but I know we're going to get into it later on for sure. With just the O-line has been putrid.
Yeah, and they did get stopped on 4th down at the goal line, so they should have had one. But it also was a drive that started at the 17, so call it what you want. This is what Kellen Moore had to say when he was kind of asked about the quarterback competition, and a few questions here kind of pressing him on, when's this decision going to get made? And really, really no answer. But this is what he said. Hold on. Oops. Didn't mean to kick you out.
We're just going to keep building through this process. And, we think we got 3 really good ones here, and we'll continue to build.
Do you think that decision could come this week before the last preseason game, or do you think it's going to
We'll see. Obviously, I got first sight here, but film will be an important aspect of this thing, and we'll just see, how everything progresses leading into this week.
Were you hoping, though, to have your mind made up before a third preseason game?
Not necessarily. Sooner always is better, but, these guys are competing, and they're giving us everything that we can ask, and so we'll continue to evaluate.
What would you need to see in your review of this game to feel comfortable?
Yeah, just the decision making in the process, and just making sure we're going through the right situation, understanding the circumstances of the game. There are contexts you got to go understand what the quarterback's going through. But again, this is an evaluation phase for these guys, just like so many other positions on our team, and so the film's going to be really important.
Kevin, do you expect quarterback competition to be this close when training camp begins?
Yeah, all these QBs aren't making this easy because I think they're all doing a really good job, and they're all having their days, and they're taking advantage of opportunities, and so it's an evaluation, and we'll take it where it needs to go.
Find someone as dedicated to you as Kellen Moore is dedicated to making sure you don't forget Jake Haener is still on this roster.
Oh, he is? Did he get a snap yesterday?
Sure didn't. But he's still in the competition. It was just bad luck. It's just the way it worked out. We didn't get a lot of drives. Yep.
Gotcha.
I think it's just, you're just trying to keep Jake engaged because you might need him, and they promised him he'd be a part of it. So they're trying to do it. But I do want to clean one thing up. I did say that Spencer led 2 field goal drives and Tyler only led 1. Tyler actually has 2 this preseason because I forgot he led 1 at the end of the first half against the Chargers. So even in that sense, they both led 2 field goal drives, 1 touchdown drive. I think situationally, I was a little bit more impressed with the scoring drive there at the end of the game, but it is what it is. Tyler led a scoring drive in his first 2-minute drill of his career. So, it's a lot, but I just think that I don't want to go into the Broncos game on Saturday and still not know who the starting quarterback is. I just don't see who that serves. Like, you're going to make one of these guys unhappy. You just got to figure out who it is and just go with it.
Yeah, I don't know, because it sure doesn't sound like we're getting that when coach gives us whatever he is going to give us. It still really seems kind of mainline, and I feel like he wants the Denver game to be included, but like you said, I hear from so many folks that you're wasting time, opportunity, and snaps for whoever your starter is. And is this really extra 2 padded practices in a preseason game going to help you?
No, it's not. If you haven't made a decision, if you don't have enough data by now to make a decision, you're not going to have more data on Saturday. You're just going to you'll have more data, but it won't be final data. It won't be like, well, now I know, you have what you have. And one of these guys is graded higher than the other. It's just, they do not have the exact same grade.
Or do they?
Tally it all up. One of these guys has a higher grade. Whoever that is, make him the starter. And to be fair, Kellen was never going to go out into that post-game press conference and say, this guy's the starter. He was always going to say, hey, I want to review the film. And I think when you go back and look at the film, I think the film's going to be very kind to Spencer. One thing that I appreciated in that game was how he scrambled in this game relative to the last game, which was a little too devil may care about, I'm just going to take hit after hit after hit. You're the quarterback. We can't have you just going full Willie Beeman on the goal line like he was doing in that game. And I thought he was smarter about it in this game. And he did talk about that in his postgame. So I assume one of the coaches was like, bro, I get it. You're trying to win the job, but you're not going to win the job if your arm is broken off your body. So let's get the yards and get down. And you saw early in this game, he slid a little too early. Like there was a play he probably could have got the first down if he just went out of bounds, but he slid, which I'm sure it was a kind of a coaching point of like get down. But then I'm sure then he was probably annoyed because it was like, well, this should be a first down, but it's second and 2 or 2nd and 3. And so the next time he kind of dove head first. But no, I think that's going to be the differentiator is, the way he's able to scramble is helpful. And Tyler, I think the QB run game is going to be bigger for him than scrambling. But at this stage and with what I've seen from the Saints offensive line, I need a guy who can scramble. So we'll see. Either way, like I expect both guys to play games this year because I don't expect Spencer to start and go 4-0. I think it's more likely they go 0-4. And in week 5, we're like, man, we got to do something. But I do think that waiting until the last second means that if it drags out to the last second, I don't even want that job. I want the other guy to have that job because he's getting set up to fail. And that's the one thing you can't do is like you're throwing a guy into a bad situation. Don't also set him up to fail by not giving him a chance to prepare. That's where I'm at with it. Like whether some guy won the job definitively or not, you have grades on these guys. One of these guys has a higher grade. Give him the job. That's where I'm at.
What's going to really be funny when Kellen Moore pulls the rug out from the under us and he goes, Jake Hayner's your week 1 starter. We're like, wait a minute, what?
In reality, this whole time, it's not that Jake didn't play. It's that they was like, we don't need this. We've seen enough.
Right. He's so up here.
He's so far above the other guys. No, I can assure you that's not what's happening. But all right, let's wrap up this talk. We'll have a lot more to say on the quarterbacks. Hopefully we learn sooner rather than later who the starter is. If not, this will be another conversation for next week. We'll hear from Kellen on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because it's a Saturday game week. So Friday will be the walkthrough day. So it's kind of a weird schedule. It's the only non-Sunday start of the season for the Saints. So we don't have to get used to it. But yeah. All right, let's wrap up this segment. Again, Inside Black and Gold, I'm Jeff Nowak. He is Steve Geller. We're going to come back and get into our stock watch. We're going to start with we can go either direction because it was the tie. We're going to start with the stock down, the duds, and then the final segment, we're going to get into the stock up, the studs, if you will, as we do after every game. Again, who dat? Go Saints. Make sure to subscribe. We'll be right back. And we're back on Inside Black and Gold. Jeff Nowak, Steve Geller coming at you on Monday, the day after the Saints and Jaguars had a barn burner all the way down to the wire, 17-17, a tie.
Whew.
And, we're going to hit the stock down in this segment. And first, as we love to do, our first stock down is going to be the officiating. Because
amen.
That was rough, man. It was a rough game.
It's just more annoying for the fact that they fought so hard at the end. We're riding high off a touchdown 2-point conversion. Then you go and you're like, oh man, can the defense hold up here so we don't give up a game-winning field goal? You get the takeaway. Clearly, he's out of bounds with a tick left. Let us make the kick. Let us attempt the kick.
It was so obvious. Like, why? Like it was just so strange. It was like, and I had someone be like, oh, the clock on the TV isn't official. I'm like, oh, the clock on the stadium's official. Like one of these clocks is official. It's not like they have it's not like this is soccer where they have like stoppage time. And it's like the only guy on the field who knows what the actual clock is the official. No, the players have to know what the time on the clock is. So the clocks are official. It is not like just weirdly off in the game. Like, when you see one tick left on the clock, which is very clear, like if you can see it in real time, that means it wasn't that close. Like, if you don't even have to go and like slow it down, that means it was not that close. Anyway, I
There
will
was
say,
nonsense before that too.
yeah, no, there was a lot of bad spots. There was a play that the Saints were trying to run tempo, which, they've been trying to run a lot of tempo, and they couldn't run it because the refs misspotted the ball. And they were like, actually, hold on, we've got to move it back a yard. And then there was another play where they had to move it forward because when Spencer dived head first, they forgot that, whoa, when you dive head first, you don't have to put it where he started the slide. You put it where he lands. Anyway, it was a whole thing.
You did mention too, we were kind of chit-chat before coming on and haven't mentioned that they did only have 2 refs. They were down a man.
Well, they had 5, but they usually have 6.
Oh, I thought I was talking about like the line guys and the main judge.
Well, I mean, there's a whole bunch of refs, right? They usually have
Yeah.
a crew of 6 with an alternate. In this case, they had 5. So there was one fewer ref on the actual field. So yes, but everyone's responsible for different parts of the equation. And that was an NFL thing. They're trying out a 5-man crew. I don't know. Maybe they're having budget issues and they're thinking about downsizing. I don't know. But it was a big part of why there were some very sketchy decisions on the officiating. But
just please not more virtual replay. Please.
It's so bad, man. It's so bad.
They're going to have to do something because it's getting killed.
It's just a waste. Like, I've said this so many times, but I'll say it again. Like, they created a problem that didn't exist and fixed it so that no one would ask about the actual problem. They created a problem and fixed it, which is seeing how far one thing is from another, which we can all do. And they think that's going to prevent you from realizing that the actual problem is the refs seeing where the hell the ball is and putting it in the right spot, which they almost never do. Right? Like, instead of solving that problem, they created a problem that they knew they could fix so they could fix it, which no, if it takes longer to do that stupid virtual measurement than to run the chains out there, then it is a waste of everybody's time. And it's not even more accurate. Anyway.
And not entertaining. At least it's a football play we're used to. I'm sorry. It's part of the game, the chain gang.
The only thing it gives you is instead of going like this, it's like, oh, you have exactly 18 inches. Anyway, so that's what it is. But, let's get into the actual stock down players. And, the offensive line, yes, you only had 3 of your starters out there, but those 3 starters were first-round picks. And
man, oh man, you're right. The biggest thing is stock down on the team without Eric McCoy, general. Period.
Yeah, that's the caveat I'll throw in there is like, I don't know how much of a difference he makes, but he does make a big difference.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to kind of withhold judgment on exactly how negative I'm going to be on this offensive line until I see them with him in there. Because it's not just being without your center, it's being without your best offensive lineman. It's being without, you're kind of the guy who puts everyone in the right place and communicates and is that leader, right? Like, one of the reasons, and Cesar Ruiz has had a really rough preseason to this point, at least,
and hurt
in the games. Yeah, he did get kind of rolled up on, so that's going to be one to watch. He did seem okay. He went into the tent only briefly, and he didn't go back into the locker room immediately, so they didn't feel the need to like do any extra tests like that.
We had a post-game caller calling him Cesar Louise, and I couldn't stop laughing.
Cesar Louise. Yeah, no, but I think like when you're the interior line is tough to look at individually. Like, it's almost always like you got to look at it as a group because 90% of the time they're combo blocking, right? And so when you have a backup left guard and a backup center, I think you're leaving your right guard on an island more than you'd want. And the result is kind of looks bad. So I don't know how much of that is him playing badly or kind of being put in bad situations. Either way, like, he's a first round pick. He's your veteran. Like, you want him to play better. And I haven't seen it. You haven't been able to run the ball. You haven't been able to get any push in the run game. And yeah, it's not like it doesn't look good for him.
That's one of the things that both QBs have been hampered with in the preseason. It's like, wait a minute. In practice, I get that guy. Can we bring him in, please?
Yeah, and again, like, Eric makes a big difference for this team. So it's tough to know exactly how much it's affecting those other guys who don't get to play with him right now and are instead playing with not just a backup. Like, the backup to the backup who didn't even play center until last week, right? Like Torricelli Simpkins got like 98% of the snaps there.
What all I know in my brain is Saints with with McCoy, week 1 and 2 last year. Without him, everything after that.
Right. Right. So again, like I'm not going to tell you that Ruiz has secretly been fantastic and you're just all missing everything. But I will say, like, I do think that not playing next to Eric McCoy makes a big difference for anybody. And so I think Dylan Radins will play better when Eric's in there. I think Cesar Ruiz will play better when Eric is in there. And then
we got a new center / guard.
Yes. And they did trade for, was it Jake Fortner? I believe it was Jake Fortner.
No, not Jake. Luke
Fortner.
Luke.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly what their optimism is for Luke. Jaguars fans seem to be pretty excited that he was no longer going to be there. The Saints traded Colin Saunders, which I know we got the Keeping It Real Who Dat Sports podcast in here. And they did mention that, like, yeah, when I was on with him, he said, hey, I think Colin Saunders is going to get cut. And at the time, I was kind of looking at it and saying yes and no. Like, I think he's on the potential cut, but they need a backup nose tackle. And at that point, I was looking at him as that backup nose tackle. One thing that I think kind of has become clear over the last few weeks is Christian Boyd is developing into that backup nose tackle. And I actually talked to Devon Godshaw about this, and he was very, very complimentary of Christian Boyd. They really like how he's developed. And I do think that made Colin expendable. Because if you feel like the young player is a trusted option and you're in the situation the Saints are in, yeah, you're going to cut Colin. And
going into the season, I thought Colin Saunders was safer than Shepard.
Yeah, well, it's weird because they restructured both their contracts, and I don't think they had to. So, like, getting rid of Colin wouldn't actually save you money. So it was like, I still don't understand why they did that. It was strange. Like, I wonder if they were gearing up for something and it never occurred. But whatever. Either way, Colin Saunders is now with the Jaguars. They clearly, I don't know. I didn't think he played that well in the game, but clearly they liked what they saw to some extent. And I think it's just a situation where, hey, you're kind of overloaded with interior defensive linemen. We're kind of overloaded with interior offensive linemen.
Yeah.
We're going to cut that guy. We're going to cut this guy.
Let's do it. Let's get crazy.
And that's what they did. And the Saints, they needed center depth. You know, whether I'm curious to see whether this kind of pushes Simpkins back to guard, a player that they've been very complimentary of, and I think has played pretty well, or if it's more just a depth play. Because, you know, it's easy to forget, but last year they were in a bad way at the center position. They were going on other teams' practice squads and signing guys and playing them that week. Like, Connor McGovern was on the Jets practice squad on his way, about to get on a bus to go to London. And the Saints were like, actually, you want to come here and play for us? And he was like, sure. And he ended up playing on Monday night, like 4 days later, because I can't remember. Was it Lucas Patrick who got hurt? Like, I think it was Lucas Patrick who started that game at center, and he got hurt. And it was like, okay, Connor, let's see what you got. You don't know the offense. Good luck. Like, you don't want to be in that position. You want the guy you're putting in there to at least know your offense. And so
I feel like they got a Will Clapp replacement.
Well, but that's the question, because Will Clapp was going to be your first line backup center. And so my question is whether you still view Simpkins as that or you view Fortner as that. Fortner, you know, for considering if clearly they were going to cut Colin, and considering that this is a guy who has 51 career games played. He was a third-round pick of the Jaguars back in 2022. He started 34 games, 17 of those were at center. So, like, you basically got something for nothing, and that something is a player who has legitimate NFL experience. If you had to turn to him, he's at least someone who's played an NFL game. So, yeah, either way. But that's we've spent a lot of time on the offensive line, but that's really the biggest negative I come out of this game with is I don't feel good about the offensive line right now.
No, the amount of pressure, and we've talked about it with the interior even too. At least rushing was a little bit better this game, but not that, you know, where it made a huge difference.
Not really. I mean, I thought Kendra had a couple nice runs. His long run came on like a 3rd and 30, so it's tough to give him too much credit for that.
Right, exactly, yeah.
He did have another nice run that was called back on a Simpkins hold.
Right.
The question is, okay, would it have been a long run if Simpkins doesn't hold? I think it is. I think I think he would have like not gotten tackled by that guy regardless. But I still think Kendra, like you've seen it 2 weeks in a row. He's the guy who gets in first and then sits the rest of the game. That's your RB2. The rest is a competition behind it. But yeah, that's the offensive line. Let's move on because we've talked about that for a while. My second stock down is the tackling. They couldn't tackle worth a lick. I don't have the missed tackle stats in front of me. It usually takes a couple of days for those to get kind of figured out. But I mean, there had to be 5 or 6 in the first quarter alone. There was a play that Tank Bigsby caught a screen. Like Tank's not exactly the most fleet of foot in the running back in the NFL. And he was able to work all the way back across the field, make like 6 guys trip and fall. And then get like 10 yards downfield. It was like, this is Tank Bigsby. His name's Tank. He's not named Tank because he's like this very elusive dude. Anyway.
Right. It's not like Lamborghini, you know what I mean? I mean,
maybe I'm reading too much into the name, but either way, he's a running back who you should not be chasing around like he's Saquon Barkley. Like it just wasn't good. And there was bad angles. I don't necessarily think that, it's tough to call them the first team defense. I don't know if they were necessarily ready to play when they got out there. I just didn't see juice. And you saw juice in the second half. So I do want to give the guys who got in after that credit. I do think the opposing quarterbacks had something to do with the lack of offense. Nick Mullins and John Wolford and I think there was another guy. They were terrible. But no, I mean, you got to tackle. Like you're not giving you're trying to make this roster. These guys, and that's the thing. You say like this, the guys who are playing, they're fighting to make the roster. You got to go out there and tackle. You cannot be getting run through, and there was just too much of that.
Jeff, like Will Hildebrand says in our chat, not just poor tackling, there were poor angles.
Yeah, no, it's just not just broken tackles, like missed completely.
Right.
Just whiff. And it's just too much of that. So now you got to be better. You got to be better. And yeah, a lot of these are backups. You still got to be better because if you want to make the roster, you don't want that on tape. And if you want to make any roster, you don't want that on tape. You do have to say the Jaguars are playing their starters, so that's a factor, right? Starters versus backups. Your backups for a reason. They got to be better. So that's my stock down. Is like I didn't see that out of that first group.
Everyone wanted to be like, "Oh, Quincy Riley led the team in tackles." I don't want my rookie corner to lead the team in tackles.
Yeah, Bobby always talks about that like out of context, as if your cornerback getting 8 tackles is a good thing. It's like, no, that means he was getting. That means they were catching the ball on him. There were a couple plays that he made plays. So it wasn't all like catch and tackle, but it means they're going after him. So yeah, either way. You got any other ones? I got one more.
Trying to think of the downs. I mean, we mentioned it kind of the first segment. I'm not down really on Olave, but situational football from a starter, it's like you have to make that catch right there on 3rd and 5. It was just like that sigh, like crap, what the hell? And then it was kind of an awkward way he like knelt or went down to the turf, and I was like, at first, like I thought he got hurt, and I was like, oh no, but then it was like, no, he's just ego's hurt.
I don't know if ego's hurt. It's like it's like I can't believe it.
Yeah, right.
Like. Everyone has those moments, and I'd rather they happen in preseason, but yeah, it's like you got to be better. And this is what Bobby had to say, which I thought he was on it with this.
It might be crazy. People might get mad at me about that. I say this.
No, not mad at you, Bobby.
Well, I'm just gonna tell you, Chris Olave can't be Joe Cool, dude. Come on, they can't have a lack of concentration.
I know. At first, I thought he got hurt on the play.
Got hurt. Well, he got his feelings hurt. Yeah, he got his feelings because he catch the ball. I mean, they can't be a drive killer. If you're the stud on the team, you can't be a drive killer. And I'll tell you, watch how the quarterbacks have noticed, whether it's Shuck or Spencer Rattler, they don't trust Chris Olave more than Rashid Shaheed.
No, you're right.
Oh, so Chris Olave is the number one. I don't know. Who's number one? Whoever the quarterback thinks number one. And Kellen Moore and all that. So right now, we need Chris Olave to excel at a very high level, along with Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah, I want that moment to be like a snap out of it, please, Olave.
Yeah, and I agree. I to an extent, I thought there was another 3rd down play that I thought he could have made a play. He could pick up your quarterback. The ball was on target. It was kind of a deep ball. The defender was there, but it's like contested catches are a thing. And that kind of wraps into my final point. Like we already talked about Mason Tipton, the wide receiver, and the slant that ended up in the interception, and you put that on the wide receiver. Like I don't think they have a guy that can run slants, at least not consistently. I think in past years, you would say like, who's he running this slant to? All right, Kellen Moore. Okay. CD Lamb, you go run a slant. All right, I feel good about that. Hey, AJ Brown, you go run a slant. All right, feel good about that. Mason Tipton, you go run a slant. Oh, I don't feel good about that. And the reason is like a slant is a physical route. Like you gotta there's like people always talk, oh, Mike Thomas, a slant king. Like the reason he ran all those slants is because he's physically capable of winning on those plays, right? Like to win on a slant, you got to be able to kind of box a guy out.
It became such a negative,
right? Like, but you need those. Those are huge plays. Like those are chain movers, and you need chain movers. And I just don't think the Saints have a chain mover, And that was just an example. Like, I think the physicality, like Mason, I don't know, like there was 2 players there and it didn't seem like he wanted to play with the physicality he needed. And he was like, I'll sit down, and Spencer expects him to keep going. So I don't like it. My stock down is I don't even know if it's stock down so much as it's just a continued issue of like, they just don't have a big body wide receiver. And that's the type of play where you really notice it.
Jeff, we're going to see the emergence now of Trayton Welch to be that guy.
Well, he's a tight end.
Yeah.
I mean, they have Juwan, so maybe Juwan
Sure.
is a guy you run some slants with out of the slot. And maybe he becomes that physical guy. Cedric Wilson has never caught a clean pass in his life. It seems like every time he catches a ball, it's double catch. It drives me nuts. Like he catches them, but it's like, oh no. So yeah, that's an issue for me.
And I know everyone's talking about, well, they can go out and find someone from a team when he gets cut. You going to want the other guy's scraps and think it's going to be any better than what you have right now?
Probably not.
Just because he's tall?
Right. Remember when they got down to Peoples-Jones and everyone was excited about that?
Who?
Right. The pass rush, I think you got 1 QB hurry in the game, and it was Jeremiah Martin, the guy they just brought in off the street. That's disappointing. Jonah Williams, I put out I wish I had waited a couple days to put out my roster projection, because my roster projection last week had Nathan getting cut and Jonah Williams getting kept. And then, it's pretty clear that Nathan Shepard, based on the fact they didn't play yesterday, is safe on this roster. And Jonah Williams, I thought, had a terrible day. So, that's going to flip. That position is going to flip. It was always the hardest to project. But, I think it's coming into a little bit more focus now with Colin out the door and Nathan pretty clearly in that mix.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they clearly like what they've seen that in Nathan Shepard. And he did have a strong practice against the Rams. I didn't get to watch that side of the field. Bobby spoke very highly of him. I did have Olave's hands in my down column here.
Yeah.
The other one, and it's very specific, is Velus Jones on punt coverage. Because, a good way to get the special teams coach to hate you is to run out of bounds and make no attempt to come back in, because that's a 15-yard penalty. That's a fifth of the field almost. Like, that's a huge penalty.
Yeah, at first I was like, I didn't understand what happened there.
Yeah, it just, I didn't actually see the replay because I was on the field and they don't show it. I had it described to me. But yeah, I mean, it's like you end up going out of bounds. You got to immediately make an attempt to come back in. And if you don't, you just kind of run on the sideline. You're going to get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. And that's what happened. And so, what was a decent punt, I can't remember who it was, but it was a punt to the 19. Like, they would have started that drive at the 19. Instead, they got it at the 34. That's a massive difference. So you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. And here's the thing, like a guy like Velus Jones, he's going to be playing on special teams. Like, special teams is important. So, I don't think that's going to be the reason if he misses the roster, but it's certainly going to be something that gets him chewed out in a special teams meeting this week.
Another guy that social media, like they had the torches out for him yesterday, Jeff, Isaiah Foskey.
Well, yeah, but that's been true forever. I can't even
feel
in
like
good conscience.
It's just getting louder now.
I can't even in good conscience put him in my stock down pile, because how much lower can his stock get? He did, it's funny. He actually did make one nice play in that game, and it saved a third down. It forced a punt that set up the go ahead, the game tying drive. but it's like we're so far gone on the Foskey train that like no one even noticed.
Yeah.
But it was actually a nice play. Like he saved what would have been a first down conversion, but it was like he's been in there the whole game, and I haven't heard his name once. Like it's nice that he appeared in the stat sheet this week. So I guess that's something. And in his defense, none of the outside linebackers had good days. Like Chris Rumpf didn't make an impact. Fadil Diggs didn't make an impact, right? So none of those guys really ascended to me. But yeah, everyone's out on Foskey.
Yeah, he's one of those players now. You know, it definitely with the fan base, it happens that you fall out of favor and there's no coming back. And Foskey for sure is there.
Yeah, he would help his case if he got like one sack in his entire career. It would help.
Like a strip sack, and it'd be like, oh, against the Falcons, it'd be like, oh my God.
I don't even need a strip sack. I just need him to like get to the quarterback one time. Even hit him. Even hit him after the ball's gone. Get a penalty for all I care. Prove to me that you get there. Can you recall one time him being in a position where even the quarterback throws the ball, and if he held on to it a little bit longer, like it would have been a sack? I can't. I don't know if it's ever happened. He's been here for 3 years.
It's been brutal because then the talk gets mentioned. Oh, watch, he goes somewhere else and flourishes.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I remember seeing glimpses of really good player from Caden Ellis, and it's unfortunate that they just got overpaid in Atlanta. Zach Bourne was a little different. It seemed like he was a special teams guy, and that was it. And next thing you know, he's up for like defensive freaking player of the year in the NFL with Philly.
Yeah, I don't think that's what's going to happen here.
No, I don't believe that either with Foskey.
But hey, and again, it's like it's tough to cut a second round pick, but it's like I've never been more confident that a second round pick is going to get cut. And like a second round pick from last year is not playing in that game. And Kool-Aid McKinstry, like he's getting the star treatment. Like they want you to succeed. Anyway, that's it. Any others? And then we can move on to the stock up players.
No, we can move on. I just wanted to throw some more dirt on Foskey there.
Yeah, that's so nice of you. I'm sure he appreciates that. Wouldn't want to be left out.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta be part of the clique.
All right. Who dat? Go Saints. This is Inside Black and Gold. I'm Jeff Nowak. He is Steve Geller. We will be coming back with the stock up players. Let's get positive. Let's get positive. No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. Who dat? Go Saints. We'll be right back. Hold on. And we're back on Inside Black and Gold. Jeff Nowak, Steve Geller coming at you after week 2 of the preseason. Saints 17, Jaguars 17. It's a tie, baby. It's a tie. Bobby said something weird about kissing his sister and then taking a shower with socks on. It's a weird moment. Like it kind of felt like the Saints won that game, even though they didn't. They should have had a chance, but whatever. We're moving on. So we're going to talk about the stock up players, and I do want to get to him first because we've talked. I feel like we should have formatted this differently because it feels wrong how we've gone about this. In that we've talked a lot about Mason Tipton, and we've talked almost exclusively about the interception when he just had the best game of his career. He had 6 catches, 100 yards, and that also buries 45 yards because he drew a 45-yard defensive pass interference penalty. So he accounted for almost 150 yards of offense in that game. And even with the interception, like there's no question he's the star of that game. And
you broke him down to only build him up.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure like they're going to, it's funny when you talk to coaches, they're like, when you have a really good game, a lot of times that's when you get nitpicked. Yeah, right. When you have a bad game, coaches will kind of try to build you up a little bit. So they won't focus entirely on the mistakes. They'll try to find something good and build that up. Right. And like I'm sure Foskey, like they're not going to talk about all the negative plays. I'm like, oh, nice play here, good job, do more of that. Whereas in this game, because Tipton did so well, you kind of check that with, but this was a really rough moment. But no, I mean he's just so smooth, and that's what we saw in camp last year, and that's why like we didn't make that up. They kept him on the roster despite being injured all preseason. And I wasn't sure whether they were going to do it the whole way. And they did. And they did it because of that, because he just has that ability. He's got the speed. He's a savvy route runner. He's able to track the ball in the air and make a play on it. And I think we're finally starting to see that. Like, it felt like I think losing the preseason games really hurt him last year, because that would have been an opportunity to just kind of get into game speed and operate. And then you got thrown into a live game action in like a high pressure environment like Kansas City, and he missed the play. Like, there was a big play that he could have made and he didn't make it. And I think it just started to kind of spiral from there. I think he was thinking too much, and he was playing slower than he's able to play. This year, it doesn't feel like that. This year, it feels like the game is slowing down around him, and he's able to make plays at a speed that we know he can play at. And that's like when, even that fourth down, like that was a nice catch. It was a nice catch in a big moment. He had a 26-yard catch down to the 20 or the 15 to set up that Pettis touchdown, 45-yard catch in the third quarter after forcing that 45-yard defensive pass interference. So, no, I mean, he's made this team. That's the most applause-worthy thing I can say for him, is like, there's no question he's making this team.
Yeah, no, we always talked about, okay, the Saints' 3 receivers you felt were set with Olave and Shaheed and Cooks. And I would put Tipton, you got to put the top 4 set. I don't want to care if you want to put Tipton as your 2 or 3, whatever you want to say he is, but he's in the top 4 wide receiver group.
Yeah, and one of the problems of a guy playing like that in the preseason is like you lose the ability to sneak him onto a practice squad.
No, right.
He's not getting through. And so, no, I mean, so it was cool for him. Like, the 54-yard touchdown, I think, was a nice moment, but it's kind of a one-off. Like, this was a complete game. He caught balls at multiple levels of the game. He caught a 4th down conversion. He forced a penalty. It was just all around. The only thing that was missing was a touchdown. Like, it was just an all-around, just elite performance from him. And, he's getting more plays drawn up for him now. I don't know what that's going to look like in the regular season. I think there's a lot of redundancy in his game where, the benefit of having him around is if you do have to go without Shaheed or Olave for any period of time, he can be that dude to kind of fill in and do a lot of the same stuff.
It was nice to see someone we have that we know is stretching the field for you. 17 yards, basically a catch. That's nice for an offense that hasn't had too many bright moments.
No, exactly. I agree with you completely. The next one I'll say, and it's kind of a tandem because it's like just the group that was out there at the end of the game: Jonas Sanker, Jaylan Ford, and Rajon Wright. And I do want to have Rajon Wright in there because everyone's talking about Jonas Sanker on that interception. Like, that interception doesn't happen if Rajon Wright doesn't kind of work back on a slant and get his arm in and knock that ball up. If he doesn't do that, it's just a catch and a tackle in the middle of the field. The Jaguars call a timeout and kick like a 55-yard field goal to win that game, right? Like, he saved that game in terms of it's a tie. And honestly, it should have been a game-winning situation, but whatever. So I do want to give him credit. I thought he played well, and I think he's had kind of an understated camp. Like, no one's talking about him, but, he's just a physical dude. He gets under people's skin as a defensive back. That's why he was the one who got in the fight with Brandon Cooks, right? He wouldn't tell us what he said, but no, I mean, I thought he had a really good game.
He also had a play, I remember in camp, he slammed Rashid to the ground. I was like, whoa, take it easy.
Yeah, I don't know if that's viewed positively by the team, but I like the energy. They like the energy. No, he's a guy that will go out there and lay a hit on somebody, and you appreciate that. Like, he's not going to get punked. He's kind of become like have you heard a lot from Rico Payton?
No, right.
No. Like, he's taken kind of that second year leap that I thought Rico was going to take this year. Anyway, Jonas Sanker. We talked about Jaylan Ford. He had that nice interception. He's really come on. Like, he only had 3 tackles in this game. He had 8 in the opener. That interception was just a good example of, like, he's an athletic dude. And he's built for the linebacker position. And I think this team is in really good shape at the linebacker position overall. And then Jonas Sanker, like, that interception was obviously great. Would have loved to see him be a little bit more aware of the clock and just step out of bounds rather than get tackled out of bounds once he got past the 40. But he also made a couple really big hits that I think kind of set the tone for that defense in that environment, right? Like, there was one play they were trying to set up a screen. He just like, you like him to identify the screen, but I don't even know if he did. He just blew it up because the guy who was trying to block him couldn't, and that's the way I see him as a safety. I think he's going to be a hard-hitting, kind of big-bodied safety who can kind of end up being your nickel linebacker down the line.
Yeah, and you almost feel like he's almost overtaken something like what Jordan Howden's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think they play a little differently, but yeah, I mean, Howden, I don't think has really done a ton to impress me. They took Jonas in the 4th round. Yeah, Vernon Broughton was the 3rd round. They took Jonas in the 4th round along with Danny Stutzman. So no, I mean, I do like Jonas a lot, and I think he's going to be a part of this defense. And the question is going to be, how big of a role does he have as a rookie? How much are you going to trust him with? Like, I don't think you're going to trust him to be your nickel corner unless you're desperate, just because you're asking a lot out of that position. And I'm not saying he's not a high IQ player. I think he is, but I think there's a lot of football learning that still has to happen that I don't know if he's necessarily gotten yet from a communication perspective. But I do think that down the line, he could be that.
Yeah, the depth at the safety positions needed for sure, and I feel like he's a roster guy. You're not going to try and risk him on the practice squad either.
Oh yeah, no, he's a 4th round pick. You're keeping him.
Yeah.
Speaking of another draft pick, and this, I'm just going to kind of run through some names here. Vernon Broughton. I wouldn't say necessarily stock up so much as he did. He recovered that fumble on the opening drive, which we talked about with the, you don't want to focus on negatives when a player doesn't necessarily have a huge game. You focus on the positives and vice versa. I think it's just a moment where it's like, yeah, a positive thing happened. You can build on that, because I think he's had a rough camp. He's not a guy we've talked about a lot. He's kind of swimming right now. But it's good to see a guy get in there, make a play. Hopefully he can build on it. So Nathan Shepard, I wasn't sure going into this game whether he was going to make the roster. Now I'm pretty confident. Like, if you don't play in that game, you're going to make the roster. Torricelli Simpkins, I don't know what his exact snap count was, but I think he played everything but that final 2-minute drill. So good for him. Christian Boyd, we talked about. Like, I think he's your backup nose, so stock up a little bit. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Guy just brought the juice, man. Like, did you see the hoot at before the game?
Yeah.
Like, he was fired up, and the crowd was not. Like, the crowd was flat, and you needed someone to go out there and really, really get after it to get them fired up, and he did. And so I think he was excited to play in the Dome. It's not his first time in the Dome, obviously. Like, he's played in here plenty. Played the national championship game in here, but it was clear that he was excited, and he got in the game, and that's the Clyde I remember. That's the Clyde I that was a 1st-round pick at LSU. Like here, he's not getting tackled by just one dude. Like, you gotta swarm tackle that guy, and he's bouncing off blockers. The first play of the second half was an 11-yard gain. I think he kind of the Saints Kate were just flat in the first half, and I think on the offensive side, he's the one who really kind of gave them a bit of juice, and they continued. They just built off that the rest of the way. He didn't get a ton of reps. I was disappointed we didn't see more of him. I don't know if that's a positive or a negative. Cam Akers took over pretty quickly. But I don't know. I'd like to see Clyde make this team, whether it's a roster spot or a practice squad spot. I want to see him stick around, because I really do. Maybe it's a bit of being a homer. I like his skill set.
Yeah.
I like Clyde.
And you mentioned, along with those abilities, that the pass catching, is there from him. So another target for whatever QB ends up starting.
Yeah, he's an all-around running back.
Yeah.
No one's really running well between the tackles right now, so that can be tough to gauge.
Right.
But I like the physicality he runs with. He's got a really low center of gravity because he's a tiny little bowling ball of a man.
Did you end up keeping 3 or 4 running backs on your first projection?
I kept 4, but that included Devin Neal and Velus Jones. I have a hard time gauging Devin Neal. Like, I don't think you're going to want to cut him just because he got hurt. But at a certain point, it's like, man, he's just not out here with these other guys. These other guys doing all the work. So
could he be a pup candidate?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe they stretch it out just to save the roster spot. But, I mean, I don't think he was ever expected to be out that long.
It didn't seem like it, but now we're at the point like, hey, where are you, dude?
Yeah, we'll see. I think this week would be the one where you want to get him back so that you can see him in the final preseason game, right? Like I think it's a situation where if you feel good about Kendra, which I think they do, you sit Kendra and you let, a guy like Devin Neal get a lot of run in this game to show like, hey, this is why I deserve a roster spot. But we'll have to see. Like, it's missed a lot of time. He got hurt in that initial scrimmage, and he has not been out there since. He did travel with the team to California, so he's been around the team. He's been in meetings. He's doing all that work. But yeah, a little disappointing considering a lot of excitement about him going in. Mentioned Kendre Miller. Mentioned Quincy Riley with the 8 tackles. He made the tackles. That's where I'll give him credit. Like he wasn't getting run through, which is nice because a lot of people were. My last stock up that I'll hand out. Charlie Smith. Good for you.
Okay.
Good for you. Yes, Blake Grupe's your kicker. Blake Grupe, that kicker competition is over. Blake Grupe's your kicker, and he got the 51-yarder today, and he nailed it. And I'm like, I've never been more confident in a kicker than I have been in Blake. But Charlie, one of the reasons that this competition ended early is because he couldn't hit it from inside 50. It was not, he's missing from 55 and 80 and whatever. Like he's missing from 40 and 35. And, so yesterday he got a kick from 23, got a kick from 40. He nailed both of them. The 40-yard kick was a little tight, but it got through, and that's what counts. And so, there was a point in camp where I was like, maybe they just cut him because he's rough, man. He's losing all his confidence. He's in a bad way. So, he made his 50-yard kick the other day, last week. He made his 2 yesterday. So, he's 4 for 4, and I can't say real games, but games with like, I don't know, an opposing team and a clock and a scoreboard that counts. So, no, I mean, like, I think he's kind of building up that confidence again. And there was a point a couple weeks ago where I was like, they get a free roster spot for him this year, and I'm not sure if they're even going to use it because he was missing that much. So it was cool because I like Charlie. Charlie's a good kid. Like I think he still has like the potential generational leg, even though we haven't seen him try any of those kicks this offseason. So I mean, it's really more. This is more for me. Like I just thought it was cool to see him go out there and build some of that confidence back up.
I'm so mad that I didn't bring up in the dud section after you mentioned place kickers, the punting competition.
Yeah. Thomas Morstead's still available?
We can only dream that San Fran releases him, but I think his minimum vet minimum might be too high for us. Although Saints are all right with the cap.
Is he in San Francisco? I thought they cut him. I guess he is on San Francisco.
Oh, one more for the stud section. I will say shout out to special teamers Isaiah Stolberg, another impressive game.
Yeah, these linebackers, man, they're gonna be a thing, and you need them on special teams, so it works. Like normally you'd be like, wow, we have so many inside linebackers, and we can only play 2 at a time. But like you need those guys are gonna stick around because they can go out there and make tackles on special teams. So you might be able to get away with keeping one fewer safety, one fewer cornerback because of that. If they can be the jammers, they can be the gunners. And
the numbers game and how you want to filter through each position is going to be most interesting too because of all the names involved.
Yeah, normally I get excited to put on my roster projections. This year I'm annoyed because I'm like, God, I'm going to be wrong on so many of these. Like I take pride in getting them right, but I feel like it's impossible. Like I just don't know how they're going to sort this out. Like you got a new special teams coordinator, you got a new offensive coordinator, you got a new defensive coordinator. So who's to say like the special teams aces that stuck around for Rizzi are going to stick around for Galliano and
yeah, right.
Anyway, but all right. Anything else before we close out this and hit the mailbag?
No, let's wrap it up, B.
2 preseason games in the books, 1 more on the way. Wow. Sean Payton coming to town with his 3rd stringers ready to beat up on the Saints again. Who's not excited?
If Sean just has all the 3rd stringers, and we better not lose.
Oh, he's not playing his starters.
I know, but it better not be like all scrubbinis.
I bet he still wants to put up 50. He can't.
You know it.
I don't even know who his 3rd string quarterback is, but we're gonna find out. But all right, Who dat? Go Saints. Thanks everyone for hanging out again on YouTube. We're going to get into a live mailbag, so we're going to hit a longer break here as I kind of collect those comments. But if you want to be part of that, drop a comment in there and stick around. Otherwise, thanks everyone for listening. It's just another post-game podcast. Definitely not the best organized of my podcasts to this point. I'm still kind of a little brain dead from the jet lag and the 14-hour day. I forgot how long those game days can be when we're at home, and we start at 8 a.m. and like I look up and it's 2 a.m. in the morning and I'm still working. So I appreciate everyone who kind of stuck around. It's kind of been a little all over the map, but we'll get better. We'll do it better. Again, this is year 4 for the podcast. A lot of you have already reached out, but if you have any questions, you have any suggestions, stuff you want to see more of, definitely hit me up. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts on WWL Sports. Check out the latest news, notes, and analysis over at WWL.com. If you want to, I should have said this at the top. There is a text version of this stock up, stock down column and the 3 points on the quarterbacks. I always post it after the games over at WWL.com. So go check that out as well. But otherwise, who dat? Go Saints.
Jeff, Denver's third stringer, Sam Ehlinger.
Woo!
Get ready, folks.
Pride of Westlake High School, baby. It's like Drew Brees all over. Do you think that's why he has Sam Ehlinger? Because he went to the same high school as Drew Brees?
Must have some of that mystique. And a Texas guy too.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
But all right. Who dat? Go Saints.
Who dat?
Well, that was good timing. I didn't actually intend to come back right when that ended. It's like 2.5 minutes long, but hey, we're here. All right, Steve, whenever you're ready, let's kind of get into this. We'll try to keep it under 40 minutes.
Okay. We're back here for another edition of Inside Black and Gold. Steve Geller and Jeff Nowak doing a mailbag edition with the Who Dats out there. What's going on, folks?
Yeah, I don't know what that was. I think I might have been milking a cow. But yeah, we're back. We're back. We got all these questions, all these comments in the chat. And so I wanted to chat with the chat. like we do. And just I don't know. It could have been a lot of things. We'll go with the cow. Don Zenon says, let's get back to the quarterbacks. Go Rattler for QB1. Steve, if I said, gun to your head, pick a quarterback, he's starting week 1, who are you going with?
I'm going to go with Spencer too. There is that little bit more polish to him over a guy like Shuck. We've seen Tyler definitely progress, at least from camp into the preseason, because there were times, for me at least, that I was like, there's no way that he's ready. The first preseason game, even though it was, he wasn't starting in that game, when he came in, tosses a pick, comes back with the touchdown, had the 2-minute drive in there. There were moments at least where you're like, all right, I get it now. I see it. And while I do agree it is even, if you want to look at statistics and even what you've seen pretty much on the field, I just feel like if you're going to really be trying to win week 1, you don't want to damage the young prospect you took to in the second round as well. There'll be time for that later on. Go with Spencer Rattler because he has earned it too.
Yeah, like I think, to me, a lot of people said, oh, if it's a tie, you go with Tyler. And I never really bought that.
No, I don't agree with that. Yeah.
To me, it's like, maybe if it's a tie and both guys look like, man, we can't wait to see one of these guys start week 1. That's sure. You go with the rookie you just drafted, right? If it's a tie and you're like, man, I'm not sure if this is going to go very well.
Right.
I go with the guy I feel like has a better chance to succeed, and that's going to be Spencer. That doesn't mean, and it's one of the things that drives me nuts about this quarterback conversation and how it's gone from the beginning. And there's a lot of burner accounts that seem really invested in this quarterback competition on social media. I can't imagine why that might be, but it's like picking Spencer to start week 1 doesn't mean Tyler Shuck is trash and you've given up on Tyler. Same way it's like picking Tyler to start doesn't mean you're just like, Spencer is the worst quarterback of all time. You can't even beat out a rookie. Like, you're developing a rookie, and there's a second-year player who you're also trying to gauge what you have in, right? Like, it's not about deciding one is good and one is bad. It's deciding which one you're going to start and which one you kind of have waiting in the wings in case it doesn't go well with the first guy, right? Like, that's what it's about. And so if I'm in a situation where I feel like I'm going to have to play both guys, which is how I feel right now, I don't want it to go, Tyler gets however long, and then it goes so badly that I have to bench him and then go to Spencer, right? Because right now I feel like both guys are going to have to play this year at some point, and
Agreed.
Not injury, because it's going to be a rough season and you're going to want to see what you have in both. And so I would much rather be in a scenario where I get Spencer in there first and you kind of develop, and then by the time you have to go to Tyler, if you do, he's had X number of weeks to kind of just acclimate to what an NFL regular season is like, to see what the process is for game planning from week to week. Like, he hasn't gone through game plan. He hasn't gone through an install for a single game yet. Like, there's a lot that he still has to learn. And while I think he's progressed actually pretty well from where he was when we started, I still think there's a good way to go. That doesn't mean he can't get there. It just means I don't think he's there yet. So, and that's what's going to be so annoying, because I do think it's going to be Spencer Rattler. And I think the general reaction is going to be, they wasted a pick on Tyler.
But that's already there.
And that drives me nuts, because it's like, how many times have we seen quarterbacks start right away and immediately just lose all their confidence and struggle? And then that just kind of destroys everything and they never get another chance. And how many times have we seen guys have time to sit and wait, and when they get in, look ready to play? And why are we talking about this like it's any different when it's the number 40 overall pick, not the number 4 overall pick? So that's where I am with it. And
right, there's not that pressure. Kellen's got to get him out there now. Get him out now.
Yeah, and if neither guy was ready, if Spencer went out there yesterday and just kind of stunk it up against the second teamers, then I think you probably would be in a position where, hey, maybe we just go with the rookie. But he didn't do that. He went out and had his best game. He went 18 to 24, 199 yards. And again, 45 of those yards there was 45 yards hidden on a pass interference penalty. I've always felt like there should be penalty adjusted stats for the quarterback, right? Like Tyler, his passing yards, you should have a penalty adjusted number that includes the -12 for the intentional grounding. That's not factored in. You should have a penalty adjusted number for the quarterback if he ends up picking up an extra 60, 70 yards on deep defensive pass interference penalties, right? Those kind of get lost. But you get those 45 yards. It's not like they disappear. It just accounts to the penalties. So I don't know. Like, I think they had 70 yards of offense at halftime. They finished the game with like 350.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway.
That's why to me, it's like just as a whole, I'm just really disappointed in what they've put out in the first half of games. Second half, great. They've been able to mount comebacks, but to start games out, I know Kellen addressed that post game too. You need that fire more, especially, you got these noon kickoffs. You got to come out with the energy right away. And the offense as a whole hasn't been there each game, putting up 3 points before halftime. No bueno.
Agree. I agree completely. Will Hildebrand says we're both QB1s in his book. So that was nice. Pammy Whammy says it was like the ending of a Benny Hill episode at the beginning of that game. Like there was that screen to Tank Bigsby that was just like, that was not a good Benny Hill, but you understand what I'm saying. Like it was just guys just like getting stuck in the turf, and there's a lot of turf monsters going on in that game yesterday. Trevor Lawrence found one.
That was weird in itself too. We didn't really even talk about it. Before that though, the Jags, Trevor and the Jags were having their way before he tripped.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, that should have been 3 straight touchdowns to open the game for the Jaguars, and the Saints got lucky.
Right.
Bordelais says that was Cedric making sure he doesn't have to play special teams this year. See, I understand where you're saying this. He's talking about the penalty on the kickoff or the punt coverage, right? The unsportsmanlike where the guy went out of bounds and didn't make an effort to come back in. Now they announced 11 initially, which is Cedric Wilson's number, but they corrected it to number 13. And I'm sure Cedric was over there like, what the hell, guys? How many people in this stadium now think that I got a bonehead penalty because you guys got the number wrong? And so, yeah, it was actually Velus Jones. Like the correct penalty was on Velus Jones.
Yeah. Other than that, we've seen a little bit more from Velus in the run game, at least. I know Deuce talked about, though, he wants to see the other things, not the running the football, but your blocking abilities as well.
Yeah, there are times where I'm very aware that he is a wide receiver playing running back, right? Like, there's moments where he hits a hole and you're like, man, he's fast. But then there's moments where you're like, man, just like you're dancing too much. Like I just want to, like, you at the running back position, especially when you're running between the tackles, you have time for maybe like one cut, like maybe one jump cut, and you got to go. Like sometimes I think he's too hesitant, and I don't know if he sees the lanes the way that maybe a running back who played running back his whole career would. So there's a development there, but I'm kind of waffling on it. Like my roster projection previously, I had him on it. Now I'm kind of feeling more like he's a special or a practice squad guy that you call up, but there's no way that you can look at that speed and not feel like it can have a positive impact on this team.
So you had 4 with Velus in your initial roster projection.
Yeah. Now I'm kind of feeling like I want to change that to Clyde.
To 3. Or you're not replacing, you're going to get rid of one running back?
I want 4 running backs. It's just a question of how before I keep, right? And so if I keep Devin Neal, right, I don't know what to do with Devin Neal. I don't.
It's definitely a tough call because you don't have much to base it on.
Right. And does that help you in the sense that is another team going to come in and claim a guy if they have no tape on him and he hasn't really done much? He's been hurt all training camp. So does that allow you to squeeze him out of the practice squad? Maybe.
Yeah, because I don't think anybody's coming for him from the practice squad just because you haven't seen anything.
Maybe, but maybe someone had really high grade on him and was hoping to take him in the 7th round, and the Saints scooped him up, and then opportunity arises, right? You don't know. That's why it becomes a question.
I guess,
But-
you could risk more having Velus on the practice squad.
Right. I think it's a lot less likely that a team is like, I desperately want Velus Jones. And that's
Right,
no offense
correct.
to Velus Jones. It's just that's why he's here in the first place, because he's bounced from roster to roster. I think it's more likely that a team is excited about the speculative ad of a rookie running back who has a ton of success at Kansas. And, like a lot of people were stunned that he fell as far as he did in the draft. And I think a lot of it was due to the fact that it was a very deep running back class, not necessarily that people had low grades on Devin Neal.
I know I kept having people tell me, watch Devin Neal, and also watch Marcus Yarns, and I'm waiting.
Yeah, I haven't seen ton from Marcus Yarns. Bordelais says, stock up, Kellen Moore's process. Nice. Ayo Toto says, every time I see Foskey, he's just standing there with his hands on his hips like a million-mile stare. Yeah, I've had the same experience on the sideline. Too much of the time, man. Too much of the time. It's just like, he's just like, why am I here? I'm so tired of this. But Jerry G says he'll be at the game Saturday. I'm excited for that game. Unironically, like it's going to be fun to see Sean in a game where he can't hurt us.
Yeah, the only thing is it's unfortunate we're not going to get much of the Denver team that you're going to see in the regular season.
I think that's fortunate, because I think they would boat race the Saints if they got another opportunity, just like they did on Thursday night. What is the time for that game? I'm trying to look
Coke, Jeff.
So it's a noon start on a Saturday. It's gonna screw up my whole week, man. Like I'm gonna have to.
You know it.
I'm gonna have to set like 7 alarms, because Saturday is typically the quiet day, and instead it's like that's the day. But we will get Sunday, although I don't know if it's not a football day, so and then it's going to be a week and a half of kind of nothing, which is, can't complain about that. Bordelais says, not sure I'm ready to believe in Tipton. We've been burned before by wide receivers that flash in the preseason, then disappear when it's time to play against starters. Get a real Emmanuel Butler vibe from him. I don't know about that, because Emmanuel never did anything in the preseason games. He was purely a camp hero.
Yeah, whenever it didn't matter, forget regular season, the preseason lights came on and all of a sudden he disappeared.
He did have one touchdown from Teddy Bridgewater in the second preseason that he was a part of, not the first year, second year. So I don't know about Emmanuel Butler. I'd give him more like a Marquez Callaway, which, I think we overhyped Marquez Callaway just because like he was catching all these passes, but it was because he was the only one with a pulse to catch them, right? He was out there. Like that wide receiver room in 2021 was wild in retrospect. Like Sean Payton really convinced us that's like, we're good with this wide receiver room. We got Traquan Smith and Marquez Callaway. Deontay Hardy honestly was probably the best of the group.
I mean, I get it with Tipton, but he's still right now looking at it. We mentioned he's number 4 at least, right, on this wide receiver group.
Yeah, like I see him. I don't see him as an Emmanuel Butler in the sense that, because like Emmanuel Butler was a guy that literally did nothing. Like you never once even put him on the roster to even get a chance to do something, and that's
not in the NFL anymore.
That tells you a lot about what was going on behind the scenes, right? Like he did not convince them that he deserved a roster spot. Mason Tipton will get a chance. He's more like Marquez Callaway in that way. And it's going to be a question of, can he deliver when he gets opportunities? And I don't know exactly how many he'll get, but the Saints wide receiver room in the past few years has provided ample opportunities. So we'll see.
You know who's also getting work that's a little throwback there? Little Jordan Humphrey you see every once in a while
Giants,
on
baby.
some kind of waiver wire.
He's on the Giants.
Yeah.
Got a touchdown from Russell Wilson. Or no, Jackson Dart. Yeah. And so I don't know. Like I agree with this in the sense that I'm not convinced based on that performance that he's going to be like, oh man, throw it to Mason Tipton. A good thing's going to happen. Like I still need to see him do it in a real game, kind of like last year. But I do feel like he's playing a lot more confidently right now, and that's a big thing because I did not see a confident guy out there throughout the regular season last year. Like whatever confidence he built up in camp was gone by the time he got on the field, or by the time he was walking off the field in Kansas City, because that was a rough game for him. All right.
It was funny though, because last year all the folks that went out to Cali, you guys came back and it was like, you're lying.
Right. Like, I'm sure people thought that. I'm sure they were like, man, these guys have no idea what they're talking about. And I'm like, yeah, you might be right. But also, like, I don't think I was a mirage. And so now I'm glad that we've at least been vindicated in that. Bordeley says, was Haener punished yesterday? They had him throwing a rugby ball on the sideline. No, he wasn't punished. It's just what's happening. Like, he's not in the quarterback competition. No matter what Kellen wants to say, he's not in the quarterback competition. The rugby ball is just something they use to warm up. It's a little bigger. It's heavier. So it's kind of like it was something that Keith Williams brought last year that they started doing. And I think I haven't seen quarterbacks throwing it. It's interesting. I didn't notice them throwing that, but I think it's just, first couple tosses, just warm up. So, if you can catch a bigger, heavier ball, the light, you switch from the rugby ball to a football and it's like, catching a tennis ball. But he wasn't getting punished.
I'm telling you, Jeff, we're getting all deceived. Haener's the QB1.
He wasn't getting punished any more than he's been being punished all year by being lied to.
Oh, man.
Borderly, there's been some conversation. Borderly was busy in here. Says, I don't know, man. Looks like some decent players with potential from the recent draft. If Mickey Loomis and Jeff Ireland string another one or two more drafts together like that, we can't blame them for our problems. I mean, you can blame them for problems. You can blame them for some of the worst first round, second round picks we've seen in quite a while. But one of my biggest complaints wasn't necessarily that they missed on picks. Everyone misses on picks. Like, some are worse than others. It's when you miss on picks and you also double down on those picks and you do not allow for makeup picks when you do inevitably miss, then it becomes even worse because you don't even add the depth. And the issue was not necessarily the strategy, in my opinion, or the issue wasn't the execution. It was the strategy. It was, you went into the 2023 draft acting like you were still in 2020 and you were drafting for a team that just needed like one or two pieces and you didn't have room for 9 rookies. And that was not the case. Like, you needed to identify that, the cupboard was going bare and you needed to replace people, and they just didn't do it. The last 2 years, they've started doing that. And you've seen draft classes with 7, 8, 9, so
who's scouting these defensive ends, Jeff?
Well, there's different type of defensive end now, but yeah, I mean, my door just blew open. I'm gonna have to go handle that. It's getting windy outside.
For me, it's like it stands out so much that just, Davenport along with Peyton Turner and then now Isaiah Foskey. It's been a lot of swing and misses. Foskey's not a first rounder though, but still your defensive end room is banging the table for the wrong guys.
Yeah, well, it's a different defensive staff now. It's different, so hopefully that changes things. But yeah, no, I mean, you can put blame on Mickey and Jeff. Like,
Jeff topped out completely. I wonder if he just pulled a cord out.
You can also put blame on this Jeff for accidentally refreshing the page.
I was like, wow, now we're just inside. We didn't have black and gold.
You've still got the black and gold, even if I'm not here. Jerry G says one of his church members offered him a ticket to the game and he got it. He accepted it. Like, that's fun. It's funny. Like, preseason games are kind of boring, but at the same time, it's like still a live football game. Like, they're still fun. Like, anyone who stayed to the end of that game had a good time.
Shout out to the people at the game, because those are freaking, Saints nuts that belong in this group.
For sure. No question. But all right, let's hit a quick break, come back, finish out the show. Again, this is Inside Black and Gold. We're in a live mailbag. There's a few more new comments, so I want to get to those as well. So there's going to be a little extended break, not too long. So stick around. Again, Jeff Nowak, Steve Geller, who dat? We'll be right back. All right, and we are back on Inside Black and Gold. One more mailbag segment, and then we are closing out another long episode here, Steve. But these Monday episodes, it feels like there's so much to go through. That like
we're just happy football's upon us.
Yeah, right. Like how upset can we be about a long podcast episode? We're talking about football, but all right, a few more comments to get through. We got one here that we have Elvis the Bully King, who says Rattler is 0-8-1 as an NFL starter, which that math is blowing my mind because you don't. First of all, he didn't start yesterday, and second of all, it was a preseason game. That doesn't count. That's not your record. He is 0-6 as a
last year's preseason. Did he start any games? Because you have to include those two.
Yeah. Oh, let's get all the preseason game. What's Drew Brees' record plus preseason? No, you can't include preseason. But he also says Tyler is starting into business and they drafted him, and I just genuinely don't think that's why you start a guy. Like now, if you drafted a guy number 5 over in the top 5,
right? I get that.
In this case, the question is not, well, what's the investment? The question is he ready? And if the answer is yes, then it becomes who is better to start right now? Who has a better chance to win right now? And I just don't think that the first answer is a yes for Tyler. I think he needs some time. He needs some time in the oven, and hopefully when he's put in there, he'll be ready. But
right, like we keep saying, yes, we think Shuck will be the starter. We're definitely lock sync with that. It just we don't know what week yet. But
Shuck's
I don't think it's week 1.
Shuck's going to start for this team. I just don't know when it's going to be.
Right.
It could be week 1. Like we still don't know. Maybe that is maybe the Saints have, because the funny thing is, like, we've spent so much time talking about this. We don't get to watch the coach's tape and grade every play of practice. They do.
That's something, to be a fly on the wall in Kellen Moore's office watching QB film with him would be awesome.
Right. Like, because so much of it, it's not, people are like, oh, this ball was incomplete. This was a completion. But was it the right read? Did you throw it to the right guy? Did you identify what the defense was doing and account for it? Did you set the protection correctly? That's my question. Like, we've had some people talking about the pressure, right? And like, oh, okay, there's sacks. Thus, it was a bad play by the quarterback. And maybe, or it's a sack and it's a bad play by the offensive line. Maybe, but is it on the quarterback to set that protection? Or did the offensive line just blow a pickup? Right? Like, you don't know. The coaches know. So they're going to have that information. And that is going to be a major factor in the quarterback conversation that we just can't, like, a guy like Deuce could probably give us a better insight into that. But at the same time, like, he'll be the first to tell you he hasn't seen enough from Kellen's offense to know exactly how they operate. I've asked him several times, like, what about this? And he was just like, I mean, I'll know by midseason once I see this offense in reality. But right now I'm seeing a milquetoast version of a brand new offense. I'd be lying if I told you I have a great idea of exactly what they're trying to do.
He even said about the offensive line way back, he's like, give me 5 regular season games before I even say anything about them.
Right. And that's the only honest way to come at something. I appreciate Deuce because he's not willing to just say something to say it. Right. Like, sometimes he'll say a lot of words and say absolutely nothing. He's really good at that. But it's for a reason, because like he's not going to just go out on a limb when he's not sure about it. And that's why a lot of times I'll hedge too, because like I'm just guessing on a lot of this stuff based on what I believe. But what I believe is wrong?
Right. Then it's like it's absolutes, and what you said is to be mocked.
Right. No, it is. That does happen in locker rooms. It's like when people go out and say this ridiculous stuff, and they're like, "Look at this idiot." Will Hildebrand says the coaches should tell 2 linemen to fake double team Foskey so he gets a sack at practice, just as a last chance confidence thing. Then trade him to anyone who's dumb enough.
Yeah, the bad thing is it's like we don't write his name down at practice either, so I don't even know if he's out there.
Yeah, maybe someone would trade for him. I don't know. Like, what could you get? Like, if someone offered you like a 7th round pick, would you take it?
They tried to put him in the Jags deal. The Jacksonville said no thanks.
What if we sent them like some washers and dryers along with it, like one of the old school ABA trades?
No, like I said, socials were rough on Foskey. It was like, you better get ready for that, that Wendy's shift in Ponchatoula. I was like, damn.
So that's the thing. People are so personal about it, so mean to him. Like, it's really, to me, it's about production. It's just not there. Borderly says the first 4 games: Arizona, Buffalo, San Francisco, Seattle. Where is the win in there?
Hopefully,
And
Arizona.
The more I watch, the more I think there might not be one. Now, Buffalo, cross that one off.
For sure.
You're not winning that game. Seattle, week 3, that's tough, man. West Coast trip, first road trip of the season. Young quarterback, whoever it is.
I'm hoping they get Sam Darnold to see ghosts again.
Right. So is Sam Darnold going to be the Sam Darnold we saw with the Vikings? Is he going to kind of come back down to earth? But Sam Darnold played well against the Saints last time we saw him before that, too. Like, Saints lost to Sam Darnold with the Panthers. So it's not like, it's a different offense, different defense. So
I don't know. I just think Arizona is your best shot at the victory.
I think San Fran. I think depending on how San Fran looks, I mean, they don't have, Brandon Ayuk is hurt. He's not going to play. Jawan Jennings might not play. What does CMC look like? Like, yes, he's back healthy, but is he the same CMC we remember? Like, when running backs fall off, they fall off fast. That's why every year it's like, you have to look at Alvin and be like, is he still Alvin? Right? Because when it happens, it happens fast. Like,
it'll be
Todd
the George
Gurley?
Kittle show.
Right. But George Kittle, it'll be interesting to see if the Saints get any better at defending tight ends. But, no, I mean, like, remember Todd Gurley? Like, Todd Gurley was so good, and then it was like almost instant.
Right.
Gone. And the Falcons signed him, and they're like, wow, you're not the same guy. You still have all those fans in Georgia, but man, not the way we remember it. So it's tough. Maybe he's not the CMC we remember. But that's probably the game for me. That if you win it, like, I think Arizona's going to be a good team this year.
I know they're not a pushover. I'm hoping that first game vibes, like this team we talked about, coming out with that energy. They really bring it in game 1 of the regular season, coach's first game, in the dome again, and hey, let's go out and lay it all out there. Now, what happens afterwards, who knows? But I just think that first game, I'm hoping we have that extra energy for week 1 against Arizona, and that ends up pushing them. But they're definitely no slouches. Quarterback's going to be a problem running. They got a top-tier wide receiver. The tight end is also elite, so that's some scary weaponry to contend with.
Yeah, I think
I don't think the Saints are getting in the shootouts with anybody.
And I think James Conner is very underrated running back. So yeah, I mean, so one of the things that if the Saints find ways to win early in the season, one of the reasons, if you're trying to figure out, okay, why could this go well for the Saints? They have an unscouted offense and unscouted defense, right? Like, Arizona is not going to be able to walk in week 1 with a very good plan. Maybe they can look at Spencer Rattler from last year, but I think Spencer Rattler's playing a lot differently than he did last year. If it's Shuck, they have no idea.
Real quick, looping it back to the QB competition, could that be part of the game right now? You don't want Arizona to know who you're starting.
I mean, not in the sense of actually picking a guy.
Yeah.
Maybe in the sense of not telling us until the last second. But I'd hope that internally they'd still make that decision. Like, I don't think you're avoiding making a decision just to fool with the Cardinals, but it is an inherent benefit of not having a quarterback. That said, I don't know if you're in this position the Saints are in, that not being scouted very well is actually going to be a big enough advantage to win. There's a reason they're like 5.5-point underdogs at home. So we'll see. But like, that's if things go well early in the season, it could be in part because teams just don't know what to expect, and you catch them off guard and you play well, right? Like, I think the Saints are going to need stuff like that to go their way. So,
and hopefully we're like Chase Young is a man unleashed and just is racking up 2.5 sacks a game.
Yeah, I think there's a chance this defense is a lot better than people expect it to be. At least externally. Like, I think a lot of people who watch this defense feel like it's going to be pretty good. But it's tough to, especially when you watch a preseason game and you're gonna get run over, and you're like, it's easy to come away feeling like really negative about the scheme, but it's like, okay, who's playing? Like, yeah, this is gonna look a lot different when. I mean, did they have a single starter in Ike? Was Ike the only starter on defense?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that definitely eases the pain of, like I said, that opening drive. It was like bing, bang, boom. Jacksonville's down the field, and then Trevor gives it away.
Yeah, like of those 11 people who started on defense, I mean, maybe like 5 of them actually even make the team, and they're backups, like Stutzman, and he'll be here, and Riley and Ike. But a lot of those linemen, maybe you keep 3 of them. But anyway, so yeah, that's probably Arizona or San Francisco. Like, I have a hard time seeing them going to Seattle in that environment and winning.
That's a tough road game for sure. And both of them, actually. And opposite ends of the earth.
Not the earth. Where do you think
opposite ends of the U.S.? I was being dramatic.
Steve, I do not recognize anything outside of the continental United States.
Exactly. It's the U.S. and that's it, baby.
All those oceans just go on forever. It just circles. It's just water everywhere else.
I don't know where they go for those international games. I think it's all on a set somewhere.
It's like the moon landing. They faked it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, where's Jonathan Abram at? We got to get Jonathan Abram in here. He's a flat earther. I'm not even making that up. He actually is. That's not a joke. He thinks the moon is fake. It's some lore. That's some Jonathan Abram lore that you're picking up right now. He thinks the moon is like a hologram.
I'd be fascinated to have a beer with him.
I saw him at Rouse's once.
Okay.
Yeah, I let him do his thing. All right. I don't think he's hanging around anymore. Will Hildebrand says, got to give Neal a chance, even if it's on practice squad. I agree. But yeah. The question is, hey, can you get Jonathan Neal to the practice squad? And what is that? Like some kind of gerbil? Will, if you're still here, tell me what your picture is. I think it's like some sort of like hamster creature. I'm fascinated to know.
I thought it looked like a fuzzy picture of a pug or something.
I think it's an animal of some kind. I just can't, like, maybe like a marmot. I don't know, like a baby ferret. I'm just fascinated. He keeps commenting, so maybe he'll get there.
With Neal, have you seen him around? Was he at least hanging out in LA?
Yeah, he was there.
Okay.
He was working off to the side. He's around the team. He's doing all the meetings and stuff. It's just a question of, is he going to be able to get back and be invested? I really would like to see him get some run on Sunday or Saturday. Literal runs. Borderly says, next episode, special guest Jonathan Abram. I'm not sure that's a good idea. I don't think I can platform that. I don't know. I don't think he's playing anywhere. Will Hildebrand also says we could use Traquan Smith. I don't think that's going to happen. That's another question. Where's Traquan? Is he still playing?
No, he's out of football.
Let's Google Traquan Smith. Former 3rd round pick, Central Florida.
You are correct. Jonathan Abram is nowhere right now.
He was with the Lions last year.
Traquan?
Yeah.
I mean, we could use him as a blocker.
Yes.
That good old blocking tight end.
What Hildebrand says, you and Kyrie Irving are the flat earth crew.
You caught me.
Starting offensive line, Steve Geller and Kyrie Irving.
Right. Seattle and Buffalo, other ends of the world.
My Himalayan Clyde Jr., he passed. What is a Himalayan?
I think a dog, right?
Is it a dog? Is that a dog?
It's not a bat.
Doesn't look like a dog. Oh, this whole show has gone off the rails. Sorry, guys. Tyler Gary says, dang, you skipped my comments on Trayton Walsh. Actually, I have your comments start on Trayton Walsh. I meant to get to it. It's just sometimes I lose track. Hey guys, it's Tyler from Camp Day 9. I was watching the game yesterday and realized Trayton Welks. I think there was a second part of this that I missed. But no, Trayton, I talked to him in the locker room after yesterday's game, and he's an interesting guy. I think he's been kind of bouncing around a little bit, and I was like, hey, is this just the situation that works? Like, are you in a fortunate situation right now? Because there's not a lot of tight end rooms that you walk into and just suddenly it's like, man, I have a chance to actually make this team. Like, she showed up last year and it's like, oh, Taysom Hill, Foster Moreau, Juwan Johnson. It's like, he's in the mix, but he's not making the team. And he wouldn't really bite on that. But like, he's just like, he's my biggest competitor is myself. Like, I'm competing against myself to make a team. And whether he's willing to admit it or not, like this, if I was a tight end, if I'm the fringe tight end in the NFL, like this is the spot I want. Because like one big play and suddenly you're the talk of the town. And it was a big play. Like, it was a nice catch. Like, you pick up your quarterback. He's going to remember that. He's going to trust you. Probably throws it to you again. Like, that's, whether, and here's the thing, making the practice squad for a guy like Trayton Welch is a win. I don't think it's the Saints only have one guy that you can feasibly say is a pass catching tight end, and it's Juwan Johnson. So no, I like Trayton. I think he's funny. He keeps getting hurt, and I think like, oh, he's going to be out, and then he comes right back in. So
we saw very little from Jacobson. I keep waiting for something big from him, honestly.
Oh yeah. No, I mean he can make some nice catches, but
that's why I thought maybe preseason he'll do something, and just hasn't happened.
Every now and then he'll make like one of these one-hand grabs and warm-ups, and it's just like he just plucks it out of the air, and I'm like, why don't you do that more often?
I want to see that. Right?
It's a cat. It's a cat. It's a cat.
Cat, you fool.
It's a Himalayan cat. That makes sense. It's like the cat from Meet the Parents.
Okay.
Mr. Jinx poops in a toilet. Great movie. Tyler Gary says he's genuinely a good guy. I met him out at camp. Lots of people don't know him. Welch over Jacobson all day long. I really enjoyed talking to Tyler yesterday. Not Tyler, Trayton yesterday. I enjoyed talking to Tyler as well. But yeah,
I'd be interested in the name. Just like, how'd you get the name Trayton?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Will says Himalayans are beautiful, like Siamese, but not buttholes. Yes. We were talking about milking it. That's what I was milking earlier. I have nipples. Can you milk me? Man, it's a full circle moment here.
Cheers to Bordeley on that one. Good job, sir.
And that's where I think we can call it there. I don't think we need to keep this going. This has gone weird. This has gone weird. But I appreciate everyone who hung out, everyone who dropped in a comment. We'll have a lot more to talk about. They're gonna have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practices, so I'll probably try to get on and record something. It's tough because I kind of halfway think we might get a quarterback decision this week, so I don't want to record another podcast prior to that and then talk about it and then have it be dated. So if that happens,
it won't happen. If you do, it will happen. If you don't, it's not gonna.
Right. So I probably will wait until at least after Wednesday to get an idea. Heck, maybe even after Thursday, and post something on Friday. But either way, we'll get something to you later in the week. I appreciate everyone hanging out. Week 2 of the preseason, one more to go. We got the Broncos on Saturday. Make sure to hit Steve Geller up on Twitter at Steve Geller WWL. You can follow me at Jeff_Nowak. You can follow the show at Saints_pod and check out WWL.com. Steve he's not on today, but he will be on the rest of the week. So check that out. They bumped me on Friday, so I don't get to go on there anymore. They don't like me anymore. But we will be hosting the pregame show from the Dome on Saturday. So
that's true.
If you're there, come by, check out. Where is it, Steve?
They can't see us. We're there too early.
But you're there longer, though.
I'm there longer, but yeah, the gates don't open until you sign off.
I know. So tell them where they can find you.
Gate B, loge level in the atrium.
There it is. Gate B, loge level in the atrium. Go find Steve on Saturday. Jerry, I know you're going to be there. Go find Steve on Saturday. He'll be hosting the pregame show with Mr. Abear. Tell him you watch the pod. He'll sign something for you. Not that you want him to sign anything, but hey.
I was going to say, I don't have the card swag you do.
That's true. But hey, I'll bring you one. I'll leave it there with you. But all right. Who dat? Go Saints. Be easy, y'all.
Later, Saints fans.